So breaking down your protein, carbs, and your fat in your different foods. Carbohydrates, the fats. Okay, 1 gram of carbohydrate is 4 calories. Okay, you need your carbohydrates for brain function, also to avoid hyperglycemia and dizziness. If your blood sugar were to drop, if you were to do a hard training session, especially when you first start training, your blood sugar will fluctuate a little bit when your body's getting used to your training. You want to make sure you're eating complex carbohydrates to stabilize your energy. Okay, when your glycogen stores are full, your body stores carbohydrate in the form of glycogen, which is stored in your liver and in your muscles. The fitter you get, the more glycogen your body can store. So when you first start training, you won't store very much glycogen. You'll get tired pretty quick and you'll find your blood sugar will fluctuate. The stronger and the fitter you get, the longer you can train without feeling that effect, because your body becomes very good at storing glycogen. Okay. Carbohydrates are protein sparing. This is really important for people who are trying to build mass. For those of you who have got a fast metabolism and you find it difficult to increase muscle mass, if you do not include a good amount of complex carbohydrates with your protein, your body's going to burn the protein that you've just generated. And if that's muscle, it will burn that if you're not eating enough calories and often enough to maintain that muscle mass. So it's really important for guys and people wanting to build a bigger mass and maintain that, and people with a faster metabolism, a tendency to burn extra calories off rather than store body fat. They really want to make sure they're including their carbohydrates with your protein intake and regularly through the day. Especially if you've got ketones. Okay, so when your body starts to break down carbohydrates, it'll start to release ketones when you break down muscle tissue. So ketones are toxic if you have too many of them in your blood. It's stressful on your kidneys. That's why they say if you're eating an excessively high protein diet and you're making your body rely on the protein as your energy source, your kidneys are going to have to get rid of a lot of ketones, which is not good. So having some carbohydrates in your diet, sufficient carbohydrates and not excessive protein over the long term, is a good way to keep your kidneys healthy, as well as drinking lots of water. Whole grains, fruits, vegetables, rye bread, oats are good sources of your complex carbohydrates. Brown or low GI rice, basmati rice is a form of lower GI rice, but only in small portions. So thinking about trying to include your vegetables as your bigger portion of your carbohydrates, depending on how many carbohydrates you need to include and how many hours a day you're doing your training. If your goal is body fat loss, focus on vegetables more. If your goal is to increase your muscle mass, focus on your oats and your whole grains by adding them to your protein and eating a bigger quantity of those items. Still including vegetables though, because you need nutrients.
Fruit is really important. So
yes.
What are the better sources of fruit, knowing that they, again, many diets out there to steer clear of certain fruits?
They do, because they're thinking that it's sugar intake, but the brighter than naturally bright, talking about natural colours, not anything that's processed or the brightest fruit and vegetables are the ones that have the highest amount of antioxidants. So bright orange, berries, all of those things, and they tend to not be as high in calories as some of your whiter, or like bananas are higher in calories, but they're pale. Whereas your berries, all of those ones are very high in antioxidant nutrient content, but they're not, and they're also very high water content, but they are not very dense calorie-wise. You can just about eat a punnet of strawberries for a snack, whereas your bananas are going to increase your insulin. So that's not to say cutting bananas out, because they are a good source of nutrients.
When should we?
But it's making it so combining them with some protein. You could add them to some nuts before a big training session. You could definitely, when you're going to burn that energy. So breakfast is a good time to have them. Yep, you could combine them with a protein shake
around
as well.
For
yes,
those that want to
that's right.
Lose body fat, perhaps, for the body transformation.
Yes.
So keep that around exercise.
That's right. And then for people who are trying to build mass, bananas around as a refuel.
Bananas and peanut butter in the afternoon, great source of fat and fuel.
Yep, and the peanut butter will stabilize the GI of the banana, the sugar in the banana. So yeah, definitely. Carbohydrates should take up to 35 to 65% of your food intake, depending on your exercise, age, goals, and purpose, and your time frame as well. Obviously, you want to allow a realistic time frame for your goals. Suggesting carb intake. You need a certain amount of carbohydrates to fuel your body. You can find that out if you need to, specifically, but including some
just stick with
few times a day.
For the ladies that are trying to drop fat, and for those that are trying to put size on, we need to be going for about 60% for the program.
Yep. So thinking about protein now, protein's really important to include why do we need protein? Protein is required for the body for growth, maintenance, and repair of your cells. It's a major component of all your muscles, tissues, and organs, and your hair, nails. It is vital for practically every process that occurs within the body. Protein, it's also really important for your immune system. Protein is the main nutrient that keeps your hair shining, healthy, our nails strong, our skin fresh and glowing, and our bones strong and healthy. Protein assists your immune system to function effectively as well, which is, yes, often when people start reducing or cutting too much, their immune system will take strain. How much protein do you need? Again, you want to aim to have protein twice a day. A good serving of protein twice a day, at least 2 of your meals, will be sufficient for most people, but you can work it out. If you work out about 1.5 or 2 grams per kilogram of body weight, that's not going to be excessive, and you're going to get about the right amount depending on your calorie requirement. So your protein, amounts of protein for your different types of food. What are good sources of protein? Obviously, lean meat is a really good source of protein and iron, heme iron, which is easily absorbed by our body, so compared to plant sources of iron. Steak, tuna, chicken, yogurt, even your yogurt and dairy products have some protein in them as well. Lentils, milk, cheese, egg, and soy milk. But have a look at the cheese. It only provides 8 grams of protein, but probably provides a lot of fat. So you can see why it's better to eat chicken breast, which is leaner, and lean steak. And ocean trout would have some oils in it, but it's the kind that you want to have. So fish is also a good source of protein. Now, moving on to fat. Sometimes people tend to cut out fat altogether or go on a low-fat, no-fat diet. That, number one, is really bad for your hormone regulation. Your body needs fat and cholesterol. Your body will make its own cholesterol. But you really need those things for your hormonal balance. So essential fats are an extremely important part of your diet. So it's important not to cut them out. You're not going to stay on track for very long either, because you're not going to feel very good. Essential fats help your brain chemicals to function properly. So it's really your hormones are chemical messengers, and they all link together. Not only the hormones you think of, but estrogen and your brain chemicals that direct you every day, all of them are really important, and that you need to have some good fats in your diet. So 1 gram of fat is 9 calories instead of 4 for carbohydrates. So it's double the density. So you only need a small amount of fat in your diet to increase your calorie intake. So when it comes to fats, think about small and the quality of the fats you're getting. That's number one, most important thing. Oils provide you with energy. They can provide 80 to 90% of your energy requirements if you're cutting your carbohydrates quite low. They offer protection. Okay, visceral fat is the thick yellow fat that surrounds your organs. It's meant to be a cushion, but if you're eating too many hydrogenated oils, too many processed carbohydrates, your body is going to store more visceral fat, and that's the fat when people have a hard, extended abdomen, like a beer belly. That's the example of that's just hard abdominal fat, and that constricts your organs and is the one that elevates your cholesterol and causes a whole lot of triglyceride problems, arteries, inflammation in the body. Yeah, so that's the first thing that people want to drop, and that's why your waist measurement is a direct indication of your health and your longevity, because as soon as you drop your visceral fat, then you have a lower risk of having those problems. And they are lifestyle associated. So it also maintains your warmth, your body fat. So people who have lost body fat to lower than a certain point, they will lose heat and they'll get cold pretty quickly. So you need to have the right amount of calories and the right amount of body fat, a healthy amount, for your hormones to function properly too. Fats are also a vitamin carrier. They're of the oil-soluble vitamins. Research has shown if you eat a fat-free dressing on your salad, you actually don't absorb all the beta-carotene and the antioxidants of the salad leaves, because the fats help you to absorb those nutrients better. So if you have some avocado with your salad, or some nuts and seeds, or a little bit of good quality extra virgin olive oil, just a small amount, that's enough for your body to then absorb the nutrients better in your salad. Ocean trout, salmon is also a good way of adding protein without adding other oils. So I'm not talking about dressings that are, you know, bad oils or excess oils that we don't need. I'm talking about making sure you do have some good form of oil added to the vegetables and not having fat-free. Fat-free is often deceiving. It's often got a lot more sugar in it. So it's dressings especially. Fat-free mayonnaise, if you look at the sugar content of it, there's a lot of sugar in your fat-free dressings. There are saturated fats and non-saturated fats and oils, monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. We need to balance a balance of healthy oils for good health, which includes omega-3, 6 and 9s. Sources of good oils: salmon, ocean trout, linseed, flax seeds, flax meal, walnuts, avocado, extra virgin olive oil, grapeseed oil, raw almonds, raw nuts and seeds are all good forms of healthy fats. All right, alcohol is another thing that everybody likes to ask about. You can see it's 1 gram is 7 calories, so alcohol is extremely dense in calories. It doesn't give you many other nutrients for it. It's just a social thing, so you don't want to increase or include alcohol a lot. There is a tip that if you're going to include alcohol, focus on protein and vegetables and avoid the snacks that are high in fat and carbohydrates. This will reduce the amount of storage because your body has to process the alcohol before it can process the food. So it's going to store those calories if you've eaten other food that has got carbohydrates or energy foods, okay? As well as protein helping to stabilize everything. Avoid sugary mixes and high-calorie cocktails especially. Fat burning stops when alcohol needs to be burnt off first. It also dehydrates your muscle cells and your body, which gives you a hangover and ruins your resolve to eat well until that passes. So how many people would tell you that they eat junk food the day after when they have a hangover? That's enough to make a huge dent in your week's worth of hard work. So really consider how much alcohol you're going to drink and staying hydrated and what kinds of things. So some wine is better for you. Some red wine would offer you some antioxidants, and if you're having that with some protein, that might be appropriate. Maybe not in a 10-week challenge, but in an everyday lifestyle balance format, that would be fine. Okay, it lowers your protein synthesis by 20%. Okay, this lowers your testosterone, which raises your estrogen. Not good for building lean mass, and it causes man boobs. So yes, you definitely don't want to have too much alcohol. The glycemic index, I spoke a bit about this earlier. High GI is more than 70. Moderate GI is 55 to 70, and low GI is below 55. So that's talking about the glycemic index, which is when you eat a carbohydrate, how fast does that sugar get into your bloodstream and which your insulin responds to. That is why the lower the GI, the better your blood sugar management and insulin response. And if you don't stimulate your insulin too often, your insulin becomes better at responding to the sugar intake that you do have. That's where occasional fasting has its benefits. Okay, why low GI? To fuel the body better throughout the day, to stabilize fluctuating blood sugar levels, to avoid insulin levels fluctuating. Better energy balance, avoids excess blood sugar. Stable blood sugar encourages the body to burn fat for energy when needed. Better hormonal balance. Okay, the more your insulin fluctuates, the worse your hormonal balance. Your insulin also stops working, which is pre-diabetic, which is what a lot of people tend to get these days. Even children are starting to become diabetic for this reason. They eat junk food, they eat they concentrate on those foods and they forget about eating a whole food diet. They keep you fuller for longer as well, lower GI carbohydrates do, like seeded grains, oats, those are good sources. Be aware that GI has no relation to nutrient value of a food. For example, carrots might be 49 and chocolate is 49. The same size piece of carrot and the same size piece of chocolate are going to have a very different calorie content because chocolate has fat and it's much denser in calories. So you think gram for gram how many calories they will have in them. So always think about GI down to not things that have fat in them, but just carbohydrates. Then you won't get confused. Chocolate has a lot more calories per gram than a carrot. The carrot is high in water content as well as fiber. Chocolate mainly is sugar and fat. Choose whole foods rather. That's not to say that chocolate never has its place in everyday sort of living, because it has magnesium and some other nutrients, but just in small quantities.
So can people still eat some chocolate throughout the program? And what chocolate and when?
In the 10-week program?
Big struggle for females to go away from their beloved chocolate.
Right.
And of course it has many health benefits. So
that's right.
What do you think we should be looking at for those people in certainly the first couple of weeks and then progressing through to the last?
So a good idea is to wean yourself off in the chocolate. It's also the effect of cocoa has a similar effect to caffeine. So your brain gets it also has factors in it that stimulate your endorphins, brain endorphins. So concentrate on dark hot chocolate. And if you're going to eat chocolate, eat good quality chocolate that's made from cocoa butter, real cocoa butter, and real good quality cocoa. And only eating 2 or 3 pieces of it and incorporating that as your cheat sort of option for the week.
So ladies, perhaps not 2 or 3 pieces, but eat 2 and savour the mouthful. Understand you've only got 2 pieces that you're going to be eating.
That's right.
And really enjoy it very slowly so you can enjoy the chocolate at the end of the day. And try to wean yourself back to 2 pieces perhaps every second day. You'll still be able to lose body fat like you would if you were drinking half a glass of wine.
Because you'll still be incorporating that into your calorie intake.
Correct.
As well. So you're still going to get that, and you're more likely to adhere to your program if you incorporate those things rather than going nothing. I'm going to cut out a whole range of things. It's too drastic a change for you to get used to, for your brain chemicals to adjust to, and then you are relying on your willpower.
Never eat it when you're hungry.
No.
Make sure you're eating it at the end of the day or after your dinner on a full stomach, if not have some low-calorie options or some fruit first.
That's right. Never go shopping when you're hungry either. So make sure you always eat some protein and vegetables or something before if you're going to eat chocolate or anything high in carbohydrates that you tend to find it difficult to stop. Yeah. The secret to maintaining motivation depends on attitude and how you create it. When a man is sufficiently motivated, discipline will take care of itself. Very true. Success is to be measured not by the position one stands, but by the obstacles which one has overcome. So if you keep on moving forward despite setbacks are normal. Everybody who might go through any 10-week program or any change is going to have setbacks. Expect them and think about what you can do beforehand. And then when they come along, you'll be able to deal with them without that being an extra demand.
So just on that, to finish up this presentation, setbacks, let's think about that. Often, you hear that people, I've stuffed my diet.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, what happens,
most common thing.
Well, it's important that perhaps maybe we can give people some understanding of what actually goes through their brain, and I suppose how they feed themselves is how they act. So when you give yourself sugar, sugar gives you an insulin response. So eating those foods that contain sugar, biscuits, chocolates, ice creams and so forth on the weekend can make your body want them again the very next day.
It does. It stimulates your tendency for that because the insulin will actually drop your blood sugar when you have too much sugar. So not only does your body store the excess, but you actually create a need for more sugar. That's right.
What happens here is what this means is if you're the person that likes to indulge on the weekend but doesn't have the behaviour to get back into your nutrition plan.
That's right. It'll kick you off balance and then it'll take 2 or 3 days to get your blood sugar back in balance again.
And you can really damage your weight loss goal over that time.
You can undo it in a few days because you'll eat more calories, which will create an excess from the deficit that you created during the week.
So it's really, really important that people understand that if you can look back now at your past trials with weight loss and see that you've had a cheat meal and that cheat meal turned into 2 or 3, then you didn't succeed in the understanding of a cheat meal. So it's advised that you don't do that because you haven't built the behaviour behind the right attitude towards food. A cheat meal is to be viewed as simply a cheat meal and a night out, not to continue on the next day and lunchtime and so forth for the need for sugar. If you view food as a fuel for your body, I can choose to eat this apple, which is going to make me feel full as it will suppress my hunger. It will give me my vitamins and minerals that I need throughout the day as a source of fruit and also vegetable, instead of having the decision to eat chocolate just for the moment because I'm feeling down and I'm feeling hungry, which is going to leave me feeling like I've let myself down.
Yes.
And that's really important when people look at
It's also changing how you think about food. Don't think about food so much anymore as a reward, because that's often what people are attached to, and it's that attachment that makes it difficult. Think about feeding your body the fuels it needs, because there's benefit and payoff in that. It's the payoff in the sugar load that people are looking for, that they keep on repeating that process. And it's a brain pathway, a habit. Your brain chemicals are stimulated by that sugar hit as well. You might, when your sugar's low and you've been cutting it drastically to what you normally have, what happens is your brain chemicals start to change, and it actually changes your pathways in your brain, which cuts off your willpower. As soon as your blood sugar goes to a certain amount again, you'll go say, why did I go and do that? Well, because that's your brain pathways have changed again, back to your motivation. So your brain chemicals actually changed again, and that's where people then go into the pathway, oh, well, now I don't have any willpower. It's not about willpower, it's about regulating that cycle and adjusting it until you have good management of that process and understanding it's not so much about punishing oneself, but adjusting your behavior, because you've built those behaviors over a long time, associated with your lifestyle, everything, habits over a very long time.
Good point, Sherry. So sugar is addictive, people. A lot of studies have come out in the last couple of years, especially on the power of sugar compared to the power of certain drugs and the brain needing those foods. If you can understand that, then understand if you have a night out, the next day you are going to experience that same withdrawal of somebody that has had drugs.
That's right. And if you're willing to be aware of that and avoid that, then yes.
That's right. So it's really important as how you've responded in the past, because that's the way you will respond in the future. So thank you today, Sherry, for presenting the presentation on food and healthy habits. You are welcome to watch this as many times as you would like over and so forth. It will be up on the website for the duration of the program, and there will be more to come from Sherry soon. All the best with your PBT journey.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.